Geekazine and Geek Smack is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is another time for another episode of another Geek Smack with another person named me, Jeffrey Powers here. And yes, we've got a great Geek Smack for this week. How great, do you ask? Well, we've got a lot of great stuff, including we're going to be talking about the Steve Jobs book. We're going to be talking about ice cream sandwich. We're going to be talking about juggling Rubik's Cubes and solving them at the same time. And then, of course, the big thing, does Microsoft actually own Android, or a majority of Android? All that on this episode of Geek Smack, and this week it's brought to you by Roku. Go over to geekazine.com/Roku, and you can get yourself a Roku 2 starting at $49. Go over to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free Now button, and enter in the code PODCAST for a 30-day free trial. Stitcher, if you go over to Stitcher.com/Geek, you could win yourself $100 just by downloading the application for mobile podcasts. Of course, Telestream and Wirecast, I brought up the wrong page there, where all this stuff I create is on Telestream Wirecast, a great program there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get into your Geek Smack for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, happy Halloween weekend. It is the weekend of I'm going to straighten that out. It's the weekend of Happy and Halloween, and yes, this is my costume for today. It is the MailChimp monkey, and I got this while I was in San Francisco a few weeks ago, and yeah, it's a nice warm hat. I'm just going to bring it up here a little bit so I can see myself here in the camera. How you doing? My name is Jeffrey Powers. www.geekazine.com or thegeeksmack.com, one of the two. That's where you can go to get all your music, all your news. Well, not music. Why did I say music? I don't know. Why did I say music? Anyway, and a whole bunch more. And ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I do have it right here, down here. I just started to read a little bit of it. It is the Steve Jobs book. The Steve Jobs. Look how thick that thing is. It's like War and Peace. War and Peace via Steve Jobs. I don't know, but anyway, this is the Steve Jobs book. I got to this part up in the last week. Basically, they're talking about the next computer at this point. Let's read a little bit of it. Jobs wanted to bundle useful content with the machine, so Michael Hawley, one of the engineers, developed a digital dictionary. He learned that a friend of his at Oxford University Press had been involved in the typesetting of a new edition of Shakespeare's works. Let me just zoom this back out here. And that meant that there was probably a computer tape he could get his hands on, and if so, incorporated into the Next memory. So Shakespeare was incorporated into Next. Isn't that kind of cool? Of course, they've been talking about that all this week, and we talked about it a little bit here, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in the show here. So first of all, first things first, just want to let you know, tonight you probably will be listening to this show or watching the show after tonight, but tonight I'm going to be over at a place called AJ Bombers. It was actually on Food Wars as pitted as the burger place in Milwaukee. They got a one in Madison now. We're going to be there for the Social Media Club, and I'm going to be a guest bartender, and we're going to be raising money for Social Media Club. Also, hey, it is National Podcast Post Month week. Post Podcast month. That's it. So it's 30 days of podcasting. If you don't podcast, you should check it out and maybe even start thinking of doing your show. If it wasn't for National Podcast Post Month, I probably would still be doing a weekly version of the Day in Tech History, but I decided I needed to push that envelope and make it a little bit more, a little bit better, a little bit faster, and therefore, that is why I decided to go on a day show for the Day in Tech History. So National Podcast Post Month. One quick program note, next week I will not be doing a show because on Tuesday I'll be flying out to Detroit. We will be visiting Ford for some super secret thing, I don't know. And then I'm going straight to Blog World after that. So next week, my week's pretty much shot, no show, but in 2 weeks, we will be back with another Geek Smack. Or maybe I'll have the monkeys run it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into your Tech Smack for the week.
Tech Smack.
I don't know what to do with this. We'll put it right here. How's that? There, you got a monkey on the side. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, we got a monkey, and then we got Steve Jobs, and we got a computer. It's all good. It's all happy in the geek hood. Geek out. This is actually going to be a new phrase here. Geek out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing it right now. If you want to geek out, this is the letter G in sign language. This is the letter G, and this is the letter O, so geek out. And I think that's right. Yeah, I'm showing it the right way. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to geek out with some tech news. And I don't have the right screen pointed up here, so let's get that going here. I think I got it. We're going to start over at Bloomberg Business Week. Yeah, I played that. Bloomberg Business Week. I'm so organized. What can you do? Of course, the big news, the Apple book, and everybody's been quoting passages left and right and up and down and all around how Steve Jobs didn't like the, oh, that's interesting. Let's do that. How Steve Jobs didn't like the, I forgot, yeah, a little bit of editing. What can you do? How Steve Jobs didn't like Android, how he felt, how he felt towards people that were not superior or something like that. I don't know. He was basically an ASS, and he was nice to certain people, and so you had to catch him on the right day. One of the things he did was and this was no secret, he conditioned Tim Cook to take over the company after he passed on. So it was a 10 years planning, and now it's time to implement the plan. So in the book, they talked about Tim Cook and how Steve Jobs basically gave him some words of direction. And the biggest thing was, don't ask, what would Steve do? WWSJD, I think it would be the acronym there. So, and that's actually pretty interesting comment there, because I'm going to tell you something. I would say, what would Steve Jobs do? But no, reality, he doesn't want you to ask that question, because the reality is, he's got his, Apple, iPad, iPod, iPhone, all that stuff. But he wants you to think outside the Steve Jobs box. He doesn't want you to think inside the Steve Jobs box. I think the reason why is because then 10 years from now, the iPad 10 will be out. And all it will be in an improved processor, more memory, better camera, better sound, better wireless, whatever the wireless protocols will be then. It'll just be an improved version of the iPad. He wants you to think outside the Steve Jobs box and figure out what should be the next thing. Should it be Apple TV? Should it be the next thing? Should it be the iPad? Should it be a foldable iPad? Should it be something, the contacts that you put in your eyes? What? Just don't think inside that Steve Jobs box. And I think that's where that's coming from. That's a pretty good article. It's over on Business Week. Bloomberg part of Business Week, so you can check that out there. All right, going from Steve Jobs to ice cream. I want some ice cream. Ice cream sandwiches debuting on the phone. Yeah. Anyway, we'll take this down. Android. I'll put this right here. Android and ice cream sandwich debuted last week. Of course, happened after Geek Smack the next day, but I wanted to let you guys know that the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is the phone to get with the new smartphone with the ice cream sandwich, which is version 4.0 of the Android operating system. And it's just basically going to be coming out very, very soon. They did some stuff. The big thing was the security, the passcodes. They worked it out so so it didn't have to have, it had a lower security. They didn't recommend that you use the lower security, but they want you, like for instance, I don't really lock my phone, and because I use my phone, nobody gets into my house. I mean, my phone, if somebody was to play on my phone, they wouldn't get too much data. I mean, they'll get some emails and they'll get some stuff, but I don't have passwords. I don't have vital information, so I'm not too big on that, and I'm not in a high security area like somebody trying to hack into my phone. So yeah, that's probably not a good thing for me, but some people like it that way. They don't want that complexity to it, and that's where they're coming from there. A lot of other cool features in Android 4.0, and you can read this all over at thewashingtonpost.com. Speaking of phones, we're going to be talking about Nokia, and Nokia is getting into the Phone 7 game. Of course, we knew about that coming. And the new Windows Phone Mango, which is shaped like a mango and very, very delicious. I don't know. We talked about Mango last week, if you remember. We talked about the on-screen keyboards disappearing on certain Mangos. But of course, that's all in beta phase right now. But the new Nokia, it's called the Nokia N9, and it's expected to debut soon. And it's got some great, and they're expecting some pretty cutting-edge designs on the whole mobile device. Now, if Nokia can get back on its game, then this is a great strategic move for Microsoft and Windows, because Nokia was the number one phone up until about not even less than a year ago. So there is some good opportunity for Microsoft to take over. Well, it's not like it's not on a pretty good market share already, but take a good chunk out of the smartphone market with Windows Phone 7. Do you use Windows Phone 7? Do you like Windows Phone 7? Do you would you rather use Android? Would you rather use Microsoft? Would you rather? Well, actually, Android, Microsoft. We'll be talking about that later. You know. But anyway, let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. All right. Google has come out with, and Chrome have come out with some new additions to their Google Chrome. This is over on the Google blog. They're talking about the new tab page, and I'm going to show you the video because I should be able to show you this video. If I can't show you this video, then I don't know what to do. But anyway, the whole idea is they're fixing up the tab page. Let's see if we can get this up and running. It's just spinning there. All right, let's bring it back down. So basically, you can add you have new tabs into your front page, your home page. You can move around icons. You can do a lot of cool different things with Google Chrome. So if you want to read more on that, go over to the official Google blog there, and you'll get more information. Let's move over to Mashable.com. Of course, we've been talking about Meg Whitman in the last couple weeks. Meg Whitman taking over HP as the CEO. She was on eBay at one time, and so this is actually pretty interesting. There's another company called Zaarly, Zaarly. I can spell, I just learned that. Anyway, Meg is now part of the board of directors for Zaarly. Now, Zaarly is an eBay type website, so you can do some auctioning on there. So that's actually a really good spot for her to be because she knows online auctions. Whether that conflicts with HP or not, I don't think it does. But, if it does or not, we'll keep you abreast of that whole situation. Zaarly had announced a $14 million round of funding on Tuesday, which Meg Whitman will help with getting all that together. The biggest thing, I think, with Zaarly, just in first looks, I've never been to the website, is they need to kind of think about that name. Does that scream online auctions? I don't know. Would you say, let's Zaarly it? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. All right, moving on to the Washington Post. 11% of adults now own tablets, and more than half of them read the news. But they don't want to pay, and that's a big issue. Now, we talked about tablets and newspapers about 2 months ago, where they're figuring out ways where they can get you a tablet if you subscribe to their paper, which means that you're paying for the Sun Times, you're paying for the Wall Street Journal, but you get instead of somebody throwing a newspaper on your doorstep, they throw a tablet on your doorstep every single day. And then if you don't get a cracked screen, maybe one lands in the bushes and you only get a small scratch, then you can read your newspaper. No, that's not how that works. Yeah, I understand. You get the tablet. They give you a tablet. It's poised more towards the newspaper. I don't know if it'll block you from other news articles or whatnot. Well, that remains to be seen. It's just in the planning stages. But this is the way for newspapers to go. I still think it's the way for newspapers to go, is to give people a tablet with a 4-year subscription. That way you have them for 4 years. You already have their money, and they get a tablet as well. We'll see what happens, but this is an interesting article for all you newspaper people out there, and you newspaper geeks. you might want to take a look at this article, because this is definitely going to be how the game changes in the next 2 to 4 years. And if you want people to read free news as opposed to news that you're actually supplying them for a content price, then that's how you do it. So anyway, that's over on WashingtonPost.com. All right, last part of part one here, and that is over on WallStreetJournal.com. Of course, you got to subscribe to get this information. Netflix shares trading around $75 for the first time in 18 months. Now, I did an article a couple weeks ago about how Netflix, after the Quickster thing, how Netflix was basically lost about $200 a share. And they were at $100 when Reed Hastings decided, well, we better move, and we better say Quickster is now Netflix again. So now they've repaired their hole, and people are still not joining up. In fact, there was a significant amount of people that have decided to end their Netflix relationship, go to Blockbuster or Redbox or something like that. Personally, I haven't. I got rid of the DVDs, which I just got an email 3 days ago saying I still have one DVD out. I'm going to watch it and then send it back. But then I'm going to be all streaming, which I don't have a problem with, because I watch more on the streaming side than I did on the DVD side, and I like that option. And it seems to have more stuff that I really, that I'm getting into. I'm watching Mythbusters, for example, right now. I was watching Sons with Guns. I was watching a couple interesting movies. I'm getting into some foreign movies that are on Netflix, and that's pretty interesting too. So a lot of people are still not happy. I think what they're afraid of is that Reed Hastings is going to have some other harebrained idea, and then all of a sudden Quickster is going to be back, and they're going to have to be paying $20, which I understand. Netflix needs to do something customer related. They need to make people, give a 3 month free, 3 months for free or something like that. For all of us that have been Netflix subscribers through this July through October, maybe we should get a good discount on it. Maybe, give us something that we can say, yeah, Netflix is the bomb again. And then they'll bring back, and then they'll start going back up again. I think trading will go back up to $200. They just need to do it right. Otherwise, some other companies is going to buy them out, and then they're going to take it up to $200. That's the reality. So Netflix, do something for your customers, and you might be back up to $200 by June of next year. Let's think about that. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find that over on WSJ.com, and that is the end of the first part of the Tech Smack. We're going to get you your Geek Smack in a minute, but first of all, we got to do this. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you want to be seen, and you want to see people, and you want to meet with people, and you want to be around people that you want to meet, then you need a program like Citrix and GoToMeeting. Now, you just said, what was that? How did that work out? I don't understand there. But basically what it is a program that you can use to meet with people anywhere, anytime, with a computer, whether it be a PC or a Mac or an iPad. And with the HD faces, you can actually see people face to face, which is really nice, because then if they're off reading the Steve Jobs book, then you're going, wait a minute, you're reading the Steve Jobs book and you're not listening to the meeting. And they go, okay, well, let me put down my Steve Jobs book. But it's so inviting to Steve. Anyway, the whole point is that, you have a program like a Citrix GoToMeeting with HD faces, so you can actually see the meeting face to face to face. So you don't need to be in the same building all the time. In fact, if you are in the same building with a lot of your coworkers, and maybe the VP needs to go over to, I don't know, Singapore or Las Vegas or something like that, you can still have that meeting on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Don't take my word for it. Try it now. Go over to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free Now button, and enter in the code podcast. GoToMeeting.com or Try It Free Now button, and enter in the code podcast, and that'll get you 30 days of this great program is in GoToMeeting. You should meet smarter, and meet smarter this way with HD faces from GoToMeeting. Geek Smart Crowd. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yeah, we're done with Halloween. We did, hey, it is like the last week. If you haven't got your costume yet, well, we can go from there. So what do you go? We go to Thanksgiving. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to gear up and go out and get yourself some Thanksgiving geek crap. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to start over. And actually, this is a Halloween costume if you think about it. We'll start over at Amazon, the Amazon store there. And, wow, that froze up. Okay. Well, I hate it when that happens. There we go. If you want yourself a nice little costume, then how about this? It's called the Raw Turkey Hat. And no, it's not a raw turkey. It's actually made of cloth and nice and plush, it looks like. So this guy kind of looks a little happy, a little concerned or something. I don't know. Anyway, got an interesting error there. But the whole point is that you got your turkey hat, and you can win that. It's basically $16.20 over on Amazon. So if you are into costuming, then check that out over at the Geek store. Now let's move from there. If you have a mailbox and it looks naked and it's time for Thanksgiving, then why not wrap it with the Thanksgiving magnetic mail wrap? Now apparently these things are magnets. You just slap them on the side of your mailbox. If your mailbox is metal, if it's wood, then of course that's not going to work. But you get into the festivities of Thanksgiving with this really nice mail wrap. So you can check this out over at the Geek store. Finally, it's getting colder. And because of getting colder, we're going to have snow on the ground. And with snow on the ground, you're going to start skiing. You're going to start doing some outdoor activities. And the sun's still going to be out. And you might need a pair of shades and a pair of headphones to go with your skiing or your cross-country skiing or some other activity. Well, over at Firebox.com, they have a pretty cool thing. It's called the Dragon DX Skull Candy Goggles. Now, take a look at this. They're a pair of goggles. They have a polyurethane glass shell, and they are anti-fog resistant. So you don't sit there and wipe out the insides of your goggles. It also comes with the headphones. Now, that is 99 pounds and $99.99, and I think that's about $150 in US dollars. So, and of course, if I clicked on this, it could show euros and US dollars right here. But actually pretty cool. Yeah, about $159. If you are into the cool, I'm going to get myself a Snow Bunny uniform and stuff like that, then that's the way to go. And that's over at Firebox.com. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your Geek Smack Crap, your Turkey Smack Crap for this week. Stop dreaming, start streaming. That's what Roku says, and I completely agree with them. The Roku 2 is like the cat's meow to anything for live streaming any kind of content, whether it be your Netflix, your Amazon, maybe this show, possibly this show, and a whole lot more. And that's the beauty of Roku. And now they still have the 3 flavors up on Roku's website, but there's actually now the 4th flavor. For as little as $49, you can get yourself a Roku over-the-top television system so you can stream direct to your TV, your Netflix, your Hulu Plus, the Tech Podcast Network, Twit, Coldcast, you have Fast Pitch, HBO Go is coming to the Roku, and a whole lot more. You got a lot of great options. It's a great little box, and I use it all the time. When I watch over-the-top television, when I'm upstairs relaxing, I'm watching it on a Roku because I can access the stuff, and then every now and then I can just play some Angry Birds. That's at the $99 level, but you do have that option to get that. So prices start at $49, so it's a great holiday gift. So go over to geekazine.com/Roku. Of course, that's going to help Geek Smack and all the Geekazine properties. Geekazine.com/Roku. And you can find out how you can get yourself a Roku Entertainment Center for as little as $49 and no more than $99. It's the all-new Roku 2, and that's geekazine.com/Roku.
Geek Smack.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the second part of the show. I'm going to move Steve Jobs' book again. This is, and I'll have a link so you can get your own Steve Jobs book. They also have an audio cassette, and of course Kindle if you want a Kindle. iTunes has it as well. So, but anyway, we're going to get in your Geek Smack part of Geek Smack. And did you like how I did the little hacker? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's start over at where are we going? We're going over to ubergizmo.com, and basically what this is a program. This is a new type of thermostat that's supposed to learn a little bit more. The guy was actually part of Apple, and he formed the Nest Learning Thermostat. They say it's smart because it can program itself so you can save energy in the long run. What I didn't like about it's a $250 item, but what I didn't like about it was I thought it would be something that you could actually hook up and control, via wireless system, but I don't think this does. Everything that I've read doesn't say anything about wireless, and that's kind of disappointing. I would have really liked this, wireless node on there so I could actually program it a little bit more. But in all reality, some of us still have that rotating dial thing where we sit there and go, oh, it's too cold, let's turn it up. And then it's like, oh, it's too warm, let's turn it down. And with this, it'll actually work your thermostat better. So it could be something that'll save you money and might be worth that $249 price tag. There's other devices out there that don't do smart learning, but do self-programming that are like $50, $60 and probably could do a lot better than that. So I'd check that out. But if you want to check this one out, go over to ubergizmo.com. All right, let's move from there. We're going over to Chris Brogan's website. 106 excuses that prevent you from ever becoming great. Now, I talk to people about this all the time. I'm not an expert blogger. I'm not an expert web designer. I'm not an expert podcaster or videocaster for that matter. I do what I do with the stuff I get. I learn as I go. Like for instance, this show is actually being set up in 1080p. Now, before, what I would do is I would record this show in 720p and then do some post conversions and push it up to 1080p. I still have to do the post conversions, but now I'm going to post convert it using a scale of 1:1, as opposed to not 2:1, but it's on like 1.5:1 or something like that. The whole idea is I don't lose the look and feel that I have right now from the original recording. I'm just make some small touch-ups and then I reprocess it so it can be an MP4 format, so it's a little bit smaller in size. With that said, I learn as I go. And, people say, well, you're an expert at doing it. I get emails all the time of people saying, how do you do what you do? Because it's so cool. And it's like, I learn. Somebody says, hey, have you done this? And it's like, no, I haven't done this. And I learn it. Or I relearn it. And that's the other cool thing. Yeah, I was on a Google Hangout the other day, and people were saying stuff that it's like, yeah, I already know how to do it. But then I thought to myself, why didn't I implement it? Because I've known about it for years. They're just re-reminded. So this is a great article for all you Chris Brogan geeks, all you social media geeks out there. Read this article because it's a rare guest post from a guy by the name of Tommy Walker. He's an online marketing strategist. So read through this, and I'm going to read it a couple times just to get it soaked into my brain here. And don't fall in the 106 excuses, or else you're going to be where you are 5 years from now. That can't be cool. Or could be. I mean, if you're the president of the United States and you're there 5 years from now, then that's pretty cool. But if you don't feel that you're in a cool position, then time to move. And that's over on Chris Brogan's website. Speaking of websites and people that I know personally, congratulations to Ben Heckendorn. He's decided that, okay, it's time to actually turn around and create his own line of pinball machines. Now, Ben Heckendorn, who has a show called The Ben Heck Show, we actually did an interview with him back at the Midwest Gaming Pinball Classic. He lives about 2 miles down the road from me. And I'm actually probably more. 5 miles down the road, something like that. Anyway, he makes pinball machines, among other things. Of course, he's got the show, Ben Heck Show, where he modifies game systems and different things. He actually did a thermostat mod for you with the old dial thermostat, which was pretty cool. So he's getting into the pinball business full time, I guess, and he's going to do some pre-orders. So if you want Geekazine to have a pinball machine, maybe in the background or something like that, maybe right there, help me get one and we'll get it modded. Ben's first pinball machine is going to be a zombie pinball machine, and it's going to be hand done, every single one. So they're going to have they're going to have high quality to it. And of course, it's all going to be done with Ben Heck and Ben Heck's team. So congratulations to Ben Heck. If you want to read more on that, go over to Engadget.com. If you are a geek of the 3DS, they came out with this brand new little add-on for your 3DS. It's so you can play things like Mario Kart 7 a little bit better, or with a little bit better feel. And basically, it's a set of not handlebars, but a wheel. That's what I was trying to think of. Little wheel device you snap on the back of the 3DS, and you have a little bit better grip. Of course, your thumbs are still free to use the buttons if needed, and you can check that out. That's over at TechCrunch.com. There was a price on it, I think. Nope, they didn't say the price on that, but you'll have better control of it. Here's all the pictures. Of course, if you go to, oh yeah, there it is, $17, so it's actually pretty cheap. You can check that out over at TechCrunch.com. All right, going from there over to Geekaloogie. I showed this on Google+. If this is true, then I feel sorry for this person. Apparently, they went in the British lottery, the Euro Millions or whatever. I don't think that's British. But anyway, they went and they read the numbers. Look at the numbers, and then look at the numbers on the ticket. Yeah, all one number off. Now, if this is Photoshopped, it's a good Photoshop. Of course, it's not that difficult to create that Photoshop. But if it's real, then I feel really sorry for that person. So my question to you is this real or is this fake? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. Of course, go over to geekaloogie.com. We're going to stick on Geekaloogie because there was another thing here. It's the Pixar's Hopping Lamp Halloween costume. If you do need one more Halloween costume, of course, if you go over to Geekazine's Twitter, you'll see that I've been suggesting some Halloween costumes. But I saw this as an animated GIF on Google Plus first. And, whoops, that's not the button I wanted. Let's do that. Whoops, I did it again. I'm brain dead. Let's do that again. Third time's the charm. So basically, here you are as the Pixar lamp, hopping around, looking around, and going from there. That is a very, very inventive video. And that's over at geekaloogie.com if you want to check that out. Just so you know, my Halloween costume, that's why I'm growing the fuzz here, is as the band we're playing, and I'm actually going as Walter from Big Lebowski. That's the name of the Big Lebowski. So our lead singer, guitar player, Troy, he looks a lot like the dude. In fact, a lot of people call him Dude. So he's always dressed up like that. And we've done some different costumes over the years, but it's kind of cool. So I'm going to be Walter with a big beard, I guess. So you can check us out if you're in the Reedsburg area. That's where we're going to be playing. But that's why I'm kind of growing a little fuzz on top. It'll all be taken off by Sunday because I can't stand this stuff, especially up top here. So, anyway, last part of Geek Smack side. How would you like to solve the Rubik's Cube? I can solve the Rubik's Cube, but can I solve the Rubik's Cube while juggling? I can juggle, and I can solve the Rubik's Cube. This guy can do both. And check this out. There he is. He's juggling away. Now look at it. He's only got 2 Rubik's Cubes that are solved and 1 that's not solved. And he does a one-hand juggle, which is actually, it takes a lot of thought just to juggle. But here he is trying to solve the Rubik's Cube. And it's actually pretty cool. There's a lot of sound on that and so on and so forth. You can check all that out over at device.com. Of course, he's up on YouTube, so give him a hey, yay, and subscribe to his channel. Of course, you can also subscribe to Geekazine's channel. It's youtube.com/Geekazine, by the way. And that's over on device.com, so check that out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, looks like we're doing okay on time. But we are at the end of the Geek Smack section, so thanks a lot for watching. We're going to get into your main section, the big thing, the real question, and that is, does Microsoft own Android? And that's the big question on a lot of people's minds. The answer is technically no, but we'll get more into it in a second here. We'll be right back on Geekazine. Of course, we support Stitcher and Stitcher.com because they got a great program over there. You can listen to your podcasts like the Geekazine, Geek Smack Show, The Day in Tech History, and a whole bunch of other podcasts on the go through your mobile device, whether it be an Apple device, whether it be an Android device, whether it be a BlackBerry device, whether it be a Web OS device. You've got multiple options and a great program in Stitcher. Plus, they have a whole lot more over on Stitcher.com. But the cool thing is you can win yourself $100. How do you do that? By going over to Stitcher.com/geek, Stitcher.com/geek, and that will get you an entry once you put in the promo code GEEK, and then, of course, enter in your email address, and that'll get you an entry into the chance to win $100. And they draw $100 at the end of each month, so it's a pretty cool little device. And even if you already have it, go download it again and win yourself $100. That's over at Stitcher.com/geek. And of course, that helps the Geekazine podcasts and Geek Smack. So check it out and become more mobile with your podcasts on the go with Stitcher. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks a lot for sticking through the Tech Smack and the Geek Smack and the Geek Smack crap. Now here's your feature for the week. Android, of course, is coming out. Got Android mobile devices, possible tablets, possible TVs, all this other stuff. But the innards on something like that are usually come through, whether they own Android, Google owns the patents, or they come through technologies that they have to kind of pay somebody else for. And this is not a new practice. I mean, your computer from 10 years ago, the floppy drive, somebody had to pay to somebody who owned a patent for the royalties for making a floppy drive. So every $2 to $3 of a floppy drive, or $1, depending on the price, a percentage of the price would go to somebody for the floppy drive, for the hard drive, for the video cards, for the memory inside. People own patents, and yeah, so now we're getting to an age where some of these patents start to expire, and so they become open source, I guess you could say, free source, or until somebody can figure out a way to repatent it. I don't know. I'm not into the patent game. I'm not a patent lawyer, so yeah, I know a little bit about it from what I've learned in talking to people about patents. But the reality is, there's a lot of patents out there that you can't live without, and especially in the smartphone market. Now, we've talked about this for months, and we've talked about companies buying patents from other companies. And when somebody like HP makes a purchase of Palm for an ungodly amount, there's got to be some reason why. And usually that's because there's a patent in there that makes them a lot of money, not only for the devices that they put out, but also the devices that other companies put out. Like, for instance, the ability to touch a screen and move something around, there's got to be a patent for it somewhere. The casing on an iPhone or an iPad, there are some design patents out there. We talked about on the Day in Tech History of just a few days ago when Atari came out with the first cockpit patent, and that was back in 1975. So anybody that made a game that was a cockpit-style game, they have to pay, every time they sell it, they have to pay a royalty to the inventor of that patent, as long as the patent is still active. That's what's happening here. Microsoft has a series of patents that is in Android, and if you took it out of Android, Android wouldn't have the power, the flair that it really needs to go from there. Of course, on the same aspect, there's probably a couple patents from WebOS or Palm that incorporate into the Android, and there's probably a couple patents from Apple that are in the Android as well. Just like there might be a couple patents, couple ideas that are in the Android that are also in the iPhone, that Apple might have to pay Palm for, and might have to pay Microsoft for. It's not a new game, but a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, that means our open source goodie here is not really open source anymore. We end up having to pay somebody. And with all the new manufacturers creating Android devices like HTC, like Nokia, and so on and so forth, Motorola, another good one, then you're all of a sudden paying money to Microsoft. And it's estimated, they said on, I think it was, there was an estimation of $444 million. Goldman Sachs made the estimation. Microsoft will get $444 million from Android phone sales within the next year. Do they deserve it? Well, maybe, yeah, I suppose. They made these patents, they developed them, and then they patented it. They're using the technology. $444 million? That seems to be a lot if you're talking one-on-one. I don't have $444 million, but other people, in the grand scheme of things, with all their post-development and everything like that, $444 million is really not that much. So does it deter you from buying the phone? Not really, because you still have to buy the phone. You still want the features in the phone. And if you don't have those features, then you don't buy the phone. Yeah, it's a little devil caveat back and forth, catch-22, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is this. Patents are on everything. Patents are in here. Patents are in here. The LCD monitor, the screen, the front screen has a patent, and somebody owns that patent, and they make money off of it. This skeleton right here, this design, probably could have a patent on how to design this. The machine that this is made from probably has patents inside there. So the reality is, patents are everywhere, and that's how people make money to stay alive in fabrication. And if you look at any device, I bet you even AMD has to pay some patents to Intel, and Intel has to pay some patents to AMD. Once again, I'm not a patent lawyer, and I haven't read up on that too much, so there might be a little bit of, I don't want to say not truity, but there might be a little bit of question as to back and forth. But the bottom line is this. That's what we do to make the stuff that becomes very useful to you and me today. It's just a part of life. You've got to pay out to the man, and the man might be Microsoft. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like the idea? Are you going to get yourself an Android phone now that you know that Microsoft might make $444 million from it? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine or email me at geekazine@gmail.com. I'm still going to buy a phone, whether it be an iPhone or an Android. I haven't decided yet. It's time for me to do some upgrading. Got to pay some other bills first, but we'll see what happens. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. Let me put my Halloween costume for this show back on. My name is Jeffrey Powers. You can get me at Geekazine, www.geekazine.com. Of course, the podcast, The Day in Tech History, is over at dayintechhistory.com. We've got the Geekazine podcast. No show next week because I'm going to go to Detroit and we're going to talk with Ford. So I'm probably going to have some videos afterwards. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It's all secret, so they haven't really told me anything. But then off to Blog World, I will definitely have some video of Blog World up in the special media feed, so you can check that out there. Geekazine's under a Creative Commons no derivative license, so that means you can share it with your friends, you can share it with your friends' friends, your friends' friends' friends, and your friends' friends' friends. But if you start charging them, you got to give me some money. That's my patent. Well, it's not really a patent, but it's an intellectual property thing. So, but anyway, you can share it, give it to them for free, let them know about the show, and then come back in 2 weeks, for the next episode of the Geek Smack by Geekazine. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching and listening, and take care. Take care. Did I say take care? I meant take care. Take care.